that's a short bio of who I am, where I come from academical point of view. But I've successfully changed industries myself 5 times already. I've started in show business, then I moved to retail, then I moved to online entertainment, then I moved to HR, and I moved now to IT. Last 2 choices of industries were very much informed. So I don't only do it with my clients, but I've done it myself, and that's the reason where my knowledge, practical information comes from. It's not something in theory, it's something very much in practice. I coach on the side of doing my IT tasks, because coaching is something that is really, really important to me. It's very fulfilling, and helping people to change industries successfully or change careers or their life businesses, it gives me a lot of fulfillment and joy on the daily basis. So I want you to spend a moment to think, what did you want to be when you were a child? What were you dreaming about? Firefighter? Lawyer? Some people say, I wanted to be a princess. And it's okay to actually feel and go back to that time and think, who or what did I want to be? And you can keep this answer for yourself, because quite often it's personal, and quite often we kind of feel a little bit of nostalgia. But who or what stopped you? Would someone like to share? What stops you to be a princess or a firefighter or a lawyer or someone else? Anyone?
Only yourself.
Our own selves are quite often on our own way to achieve anything what we want in life. Sometimes it's our parents. We come to them with like, I want to be this, and I think that it will be awesome. Your parents look at it, not gonna pay your bills. When I was a kid, I loved computer games, and I loved computers. And I went to my parents, it's like, yeah, I know that I really want to program and this, that. They look at me, there are no money in computers. You will never get and earn any money by playing games. Little did they know, around 12 years later, I got a job in the major gaming company, and I started to earn really, really well. I wouldn't mention those gamers who are streaming and who are earning really massive amount of money. But I don't blame them for that, because overall, I actually followed my dreams, I did it. And after a few years, I decided I want to do something else. That's basically a little bit of statistics, because I'm a little bit nerdy and I like stats. And most of us, 78%, don't follow that natural instinct that we have. So if you haven't done that, it's nothing unusual. It's normal that you didn't follow what you wanted to do when you were a kid. Some of other statistics are that half of the workforce is unhappy where they are. And others, they just want to change the workplaces, industries. They would see themselves somewhere else if they only could. There are lots of things that stop us, lots of things that prevent us. And again, it goes down to the own self in the first place, and the life circumstances and other aspects and factors that stop us. So wherever you are in your career right now, you are just thinking about changing, you are thinking about moving, you absolutely don't know what you would like to do. Anywhere is a good place to be, because that's a place where you are starting. Some of us, they already know what they want to do. They are just missing that one step, that one guide and something what would be structured. And that's what this presentation is about, to give a little bit of structure to change the workplaces and careers. The most important, making this decision. I kind of always smiled at the first point, because to work with someone who is unbiased and doesn't have any agenda, it's kind of, I'm a career coach and I have an agenda because I want people to grow. And when it comes to promote coaching, I am obviously biased because I've seen how well it works for people, how much it changes lives, and how excited people are after finishing our work together, either by when they change the jobs, where they land a new position, or by just learning more about themselves and learning how to speak up and express everything what is in here in words, which is very important because many of us, we have all the goodness, but how to project it, how to actually express in the digestible way for others, it's not always that easy. And that's where I would disagree with the previous speaker, that we all know how to communicate. We need to practice. We might know it, but without the practice, without the way how we project ourselves, it's difficult to actually get that new position. Research is the key. There are plenty, nowadays we can find information about new industries everywhere. We can talk to people, we can Google, we can use our social welfare. Even if you don't need to be unemployed to reach out to them. They are fantastic. Career assessments, I use some. However, I never administered them in the beginning of our coaching relationship, from that very reason that if you've been in one position or one industry for many years, the result of the test will be very similar to the place where you are now. So if you're a career changer, it might actually not show anything new. So I get back to the person. We talk about values, strengths, weaknesses, everything good about the person, and then we do the test. Then it's gathering information about the organizations, the structure, the field, career progression paths, and anything else what is related to this. It's like, okay, I would like to move to HR from IT or the other way around. But how would you progress? Is career progression important for you? Because if it is, you need to think ahead. And if it's not, you don't need to look for it. You can just basically jump in and do it for a few years and then reassess whether you want to improve or not. The most important part in this process is to actually start doing things. And that's probably the hardest, from just thinking to starting to actually Google a little bit here and there and focus and work with people around us. You have resources everywhere. Your partner, your friends, your family, your coworkers, anyone can actually help you by just asking questions and getting a little bit of clarity yourself. Next is the preparation. Once you know where you want to be, then it's the time to actually do the second part of preparation. And here you just narrow down the focus on people who work in the industry. They don't necessarily need to work in the position that you are aiming for, but just work in the industry. Would you need to upskill? If upskilling is required, start from some simple courses. something super cheap, it can be online. You don't need to heavily invest in it, but just start going and doing, moving towards the industry or the place where you want to be. Subscriptions nowadays are free. We are all flooded with lots of spam from retailers, etc. So once you find the industry that you like and you find the place that you want to be, it's a lot easier to subscribe, and you get everything given to you and fed to you on either weekly or daily basis. Again, something what is important, although we all speak the same language, more or less, actually learning the industry language is important, and it will be important. And I'm not asking you to become someone who you are not, but what I'm asking you is to know how these people speak, how people speak there. It will make your job search and landing a job a lot easier. Joining LinkedIn or Facebook groups related to the industry are very, very useful, and they can help you to embed the language of the industry, what they are talking about. It's very hard to get a job if you get a question and you don't really understand the question. So although you don't need to speak and enforce the language on yourself, you need to understand it. And it's easier when you embed it, absolutely. It's easier when you start to use it. But knowing it's a key. Now, when you covered your bases, you know where you are, you know what kind of language is being used, you are ready to jump. All the research is done, everything is prepared. Focus on the companies that you really would like to work for. Checking reviews might be helpful on Glassdoor or Indeed. Checking what the company culture is about. It makes your life much easier because you don't find yourself later on in the place that you don't want to be. And with Glassdoor, you can get a lot of information about the workplace. Some reviews might be contradicting, but that's okay. Next is your CV. Many people look at me surprised, especially job seekers, when I mention to them ATS. And ATS is applicant tracking system. It's used by all big companies, medium-sized companies, and by quite a bit of small businesses. It's the system that scans your CV. No one reads it. No one has time to read 1,000 CVs a day. So if your CV doesn't contain a specific language, keywords, and phrases that are important, it's not going to be picked up. Even if you could do the job, the scanning part is actually important. And quite often we get discouraged when we don't hear back from people. Oh my God, no one wants me. That's not personal. No one actually saw your CV because it might not have met the requirements. And it's harder on job seekers because every single job that you're applying for, you need to make sure that your CV is relevant to the position. Without it, your chances are very, very slim. But don't forget to also talk about the job that you want with everyone around you, with your social circles. And what I also learned with my clients is like, once they decided where they want to be and they started to talk to their friends and projected that message, listen, I would like to work in HR. I really want to work in HR. This is something that is important. Then their friends or friends of their friends, they reach out to them. Oh, I've heard that you would like to do this job. And it's a lot easier to get a referral, and it's a lot easier to be referred once people know what you want. And it takes time. It really does take time to change industries. On average, between 3 and 6 months, if you are very, very focused and you don't need upskilling and qualification. But if you need an upskilling and qualification, depending on the industry, that might take several years. So be patient. We hugely underestimate time in the world that everything is instant. There are no instant career changing options unless someone else gives you the position. Then obviously you need to adapt and you change instantly. But if you want to make and inform decisions yourself, and that's something what is important to you, that's where it is. You need to be patient. Don't underestimate the time, because we hugely do. Here is the practice part. Quite often we don't get interviews and then we get discouraged. Finally, we start getting them because we improved our CV and the way how we communicate what we want with the world. But we go after and we are not precise. The interview, our answers are unstructured. We need to practice with other people around us. So you can do it with your coach if you have one, but you can do it with someone next to you at home before the interview. Take your time with it. Oh, how do you deal with change? And then we all start to, yeah, change is natural and this and that. It's like, no, we need to have a precise answer. For example, how do we present business acumen? I was working with one of the career changers, and he was mumbling, and he looked at me, this is not a good answer. I said, yeah, it is not. So how can we make it better? There is a popular interview technique which is called STAR: situation, task, action, and result. And usually try to close your interview question with an example following STAR within 7 sentences. You want to be really precise and you want to be clear in your answers. And they all can be worked on. And with internet and with people around you or with your coach, you can make it nice, nifty, and sweet and short. If there is no interview coming your way, it means that you need to reassess steps 1 to 3. Because if there are no phone calls, either your networking or your resume or something around this needs to be improved. So don't get discouraged and be your best self during the interview if it happens. I kind of enjoy changing industries myself because I like the challenge, to be honest with you. I left that thinking that I would have my one job for 30 years, long time ago. I like exploring new options. I think it's kind of buzzing, and it's also going out from your comfort zone because it is difficult to change. But that's also the reason why I do have that broad experience, and I can help other people to change industries whenever they want to and whenever they are willing to do so. So don't be afraid of a change and understand that it is in the beginning kind of daunting process. It doesn't come natural to us because we as a human species, we prefer the safer environment.